have in his face?
Joe.
He's Patrick Mahomes, Zachary.
And he has looked like not Patrick Mahomes the whole start of the season.
Why are you going to a second overtime with this team? You really want a shootout with Caleb Williams?
There's a problem, Kurt.
Don't hate me. Hate the light pole. Don't hate me. Hate the light pole.
If you say the Bucks, it was the Lions. Whatever. They lost. Here's
Beautiful
why.
game, by the way.
Here's why they lost.
I have been on the Lions side since day
I
one.
keep breaking my chair.
Zach just went right
I'm
for
on
Joe's
NCDC's.
chin there. Intro's got me bopping, boys. We're back. Episode 7. That's heat. You know what's not heat? We had a bad week. We had a bad week on picks, boys. Parlay party was not good. Catch the lives. You have no idea what I'm talking about if you don't catch the lives. Spread to spread wasn't great. Congrats, Joe, on your 6-3 week. You have put yourself right in second place there. But catch the lives, because you don't know what I'm talking about if you don't catch the lives. We're back. We're going to bounce back this week. We're going to bounce back this week. It's inevitable. It's just going to happen. We're jam-packed tonight. We got a lot to talk about. College football, I'm excited to talk about this week. College football. We had an interesting weekend, to say the least. Beyond that, we've got a lot to talk about in the NFL. But that's second half of the hour. First half of the hour, we talk college football. So we are going to get right into it here. Yeah, before we start, to preface this weekend of college football, Zach, you're a little newer to college football, obviously.
Yeah, because it sucked. It's good now.
Anyway, welcome to what a lot of college football fans would call mid-season form. You saw a lot of things, obviously based on our picks. We saw a lot of things this weekend we didn't necessarily expect. And that's because once you get to mid-October to early November, you start to see a few of these things. A new leader seemingly emerging in the Big Ten happens every year. It's either Ohio State or Michigan. Happens late October every year. And then whoever wins that game end of November, kind of the bona fide side of that league. But you see one start to emerge, which we'll talk about a little bit. A top 20 second half crumble. They happen every year. Crumbles in the top 25 happen every year. Tennessee got bit this weekend. We'll talk about that as well. Trap games start to strike left and right, which we'll define here in a minute. We'll define here in a minute. Fraudulent teams start to reveal themselves. Again, we're gonna get to
Iowa Hawkeyes, baby.
And the real ones start to emerge. We're gonna get to all of that, and the only way to get to all of that is to get right into it with winners and losers of the week. We're not wasting any time. We're going to talk about the trap game first. A lot of teams got bit by it this weekend. Texas and Oklahoma both had googly eyes for each other, and they're looking ahead. Both of them almost got bit. Quinn Ewers is out a few weeks now with a shoulder injury. Houston almost came back and beat them. Oklahoma did not look good against UCF. Ended up getting it done in the end, so they're still both on the road. You know, they're still winning. But trap games almost bit them. You had, who else did we have? We had North Carolina get smoked by Virginia this weekend. Coming off of a weekend where
they played good,
where they played really good, absolutely physically dominated Miami on both fronts. They got physically dominated themselves on both fronts this weekend. Virginia ranks 97th in offense in the country, and they put up 31 points on a North Carolina defense that just doesn't give that up to anybody. Virginia defense allowed just 4 for 13 on third downs out of North Carolina. North Carolina converts on third downs in the top 25 in the country. Not anymore, but they did. Yikes out of North Carolina. They're the one that actually get bit this weekend. North Carolina just started to look ahead, obviously, and the ACC went from being a little wide open to Florida State's really established in there all of a sudden. Oregon and Washington both kind of got hung around on a little bit there. Washington, who just put up 30-plus points at home last week against one of the best defenses in the country, goes out and doesn't score a single touchdown against Arizona State at home. Arizona State came in and was just like, nah. They're just like, nah.
0-6 now, Arizona State. That's
a lot of you see this. You see these trap games. And when you see these trap games, you start to wonder, what are these teams going to bounce back? Are we seeing some frauds here? Are we seeing teams that just got a little hiccup? They're going to bounce back. It's going to happen. What are we seeing here? We'll start with Texas and Oklahoma. Does this mean anything to either of these teams?
I think they both kind of needed a game like this because they've been kind of rolling this year. They kind of needed a little bit of humbling. So, I mean, it's better to come now than later in the season when it's like super important. Like I'm talking like playoff time or in the like in their respective divisions or whatever. So if I'm Texas, I would be a little more worried. But if I'm Oklahoma, I'm just like, you know what, we move on.
Texas, you get a little more worried, especially with the Quinn Ewers injury.
Give me Arch Manning, baby.
You got some big games coming up, not huge, but losable games coming up. I believe they've got Baylor on their schedule here soon. That's a key one. Iowa State's on their schedule in like 3 or 4 weeks. That's a team that's really rising right now. They haven't played Kansas State yet. I don't know if Kansas State's on Texas's schedule, but if they are, watch out for that game as well. I don't know.
Always tough games, always.
Texas a little bit more to worry about just because of that injury, but
just without Quinn Ewers, yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to see these teams wake up. 2 phenomenal coaching staffs here, so you'll probably see a bounce back there. North Carolina.
Don't sweat it yet.
I would never call North Carolina fraudulent in a season where they have looked this good, but that's a hiccup you cannot have.
That's not a hiccup. That's a choke.
That's a choke you cannot have.
That's an ambulance call.
Handing Virginia their first win of the season is not something you really wanted to be looking at as this North Carolina team going into, the future of this ACC. Like, obviously, you can't overlook any opponent any week because they will come in and, oh, you're underestimating us. We haven't won a game. Oh, we'll win our first one against you. No problem. You can't. Too many teams catch themselves in, especially these trap games. It happens every year.
We love a trap.
We get a stumble, but then, they figure it out. They'll be okay.
We love
most of these teams.
I promise
most of these teams will be okay.
There's a lot more trap games coming when you look at the upcoming weeks. And maybe they're not trap games. Maybe we got some teams vastly improving out there that are going to emerge. They're going to show themselves. There's a few of them in that Big 12 especially. Beyond that, Oregon and Washington, I would say there is almost absolutely nothing to worry about there.
Yeah.
You had weak weekends. Oregon really didn't have that weak of a weekend. They ended up pulling away from Washington State there. Late cover by Washington State. But
when you come off of a game though, like they just played last week against each other, and you play such a passionate and
True.
A game that's really going to
like
get your team fired up going on.
Game.
Like you have that dogfight the week before.
Yeah,
you can have those hangovers against those teams that you you wouldn't usually have like a hangover over. You would expect it to roll into this place and just run them over.
Yeah,
but when you play a game like the one they just played, there are effects, and you obviously saw that, especially with Washington not even being able to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think all of these teams bounce back just fine. There's some trap games.
Yeah.
We're overusing the phrase here, but there's some of these games that you look at and you're like, man, we've been thinking a little too highly of this team right here. I don't think any of these are that. I think this is just the October bug biting, which you'll see sometimes. But out of these teams, next weekend, Oregon has the toughest matchup to bounce back in. They've got Utah. That is, I believe, a game we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Let's get to the Buckeyes, another winner of the weekend, something I never expected to say. Ryan Day is doing exactly what Lincoln Riley has refused to do his whole career, and he is transforming his team to the current era of college football. And he's developed a defense. He's developed a very, very stingy defense which isn't something you'd expect out of the Buckeyes in previous years. The days of CJ Stroud and that high-flying offense are seemingly over for now. They won 20-12 against Penn State this weekend. That sounds close. When you watch the game, it really wasn't close. Penn State rushed for just 49 yards. The Buckeyes already made them very one-dimensional, forcing Drew Aller to a touchdown, only 190 yards, and then completely shut down the run on top of that. Penn State, who blocks very, very well, gave up some huge sacks in this game, gave up nearly 30 yards worth of sacks.
Yikers.
And third down convert. There's another stat I wanted to talk about. Penn State had 16 tries on third down. They converted just one.
Yikes.
Just one.
Maybe Penn State's the biggest fraudulent team that came out of this weekend.
That's what we can talk about.
They hadn't played anybody going into this week.
Yeah.
And they played a really good Ohio State team.
And James Franklin,
got rolled.
Who wanted to talk about cupcakes on people's schedules, comes off of a weekend against UMass to come in and lay an egg against Ohio State.
Laying an egg.
With Michigan still dominating every single team that gets put on its plate. Looking at what Ohio State is doing here in the past few weeks, does it make us more and more excited for that matchup? Or are we kind of leaning more towards Michigan might still dominate that game because they have both sides of the ball going very well?
I don't think Michigan's dominating that game by any means. I think that's going to be one of the best games we've seen all year. That's going to be so fun. I think Michigan will still win that game, but it's going to be a super close game. Even if you have like Michigan wins by like 2 touchdowns, it's going to be super close on paper.
I agree. I think it's going to be a slugfest, honestly, down the stretch, especially with these two teams, especially now that this Ohio State defense is actually showing
solidifying itself.
Which I agree. The last time they had a defense like this, I believe they won the national championship back in 2015. They had a good pass rush. They had a good secondary. They had good linebackers, and they played on all sides of the ball, all levels of the ball. Don't be surprised. We could be seeing, a second coming of this Ohio State team. They had Ezekiel Elliott. They had Bosa, Joey Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
Cardale Jones came in after JT Barrett gets hurt.
I was going to say, is that JT Barrett's year?
That's a while back now. That's a while back.
JT Barrett converted.
That was the first year of the college football playoff.
Oregon made the playoff that year. That's like the only thing I know about
Florida
that
State.
playoff.
That was a great playoff. That was a great playoff.
Yes, it was. Is Ohio State? Joe, are you saying Ohio State's making it back?
I'd say they might be back, man. Who knows? Like, I think Kyle McCord does enough for this offense to run the way it should. I think they're running the ball very successfully again this year, which is something that they had, as a staple for their game for a long time. Got away from it. Now they're starting to like pick up on offense a little bit more. We could see an Ohio State Big Ten
is
champion.
Ohio State suddenly your natty pick?
I don't know about that far. We'll see. We'll see when they play.
Settle down.
Michigan. Ryan Day's still got to get over the Jim Harbaugh hump. He's beat him a couple times. Jim's beat him a couple times now. He wins that game. I think you might be surprised. This Ohio State team has the looks.
Can we talk about how dumb that is? The fact that game was at 11 o'clock.
Whoa! Are we
it's been in prime time.
Noon kickoffs?
It's been in prime time for a long time. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a prime time game for a while.
Why are we disrespecting noon kickoffs?
I like noon.
I don't know why. I would rather watch it at the night game. I want it to be lit.
You wait.
Crazy football all day.
Exactly. You wait all morning listening to Kirk Herbstreit, Pat McAfee, or Matt Leinart, the guys on Fox.
College Game Day,
whichever show you decide to watch every Saturday morning. You get to noon and you're like, man, now I got to make a frozen pizza and wait till 7 o'clock to watch this game they just hyped up for the last 4 hours. No.
Yeah.
Give me that
Yes.
game right after Lee
No.
Corso makes his headgear pick. Give me that game. Throw it right to it.
I want the best game
Right
for
to
the
it.
last game. That's how it should be. I want the
Nah.
best
That's
game
the
to be
way it
last.
always was. But why not? Why not make it a very exciting game early in the day so that you're watching football
Give me
all day?
the
You're
Big
watching
Ten.
exciting football all day.
Give me the Big Ten primetime game at noon. Give me the SEC and Big 12 primetime games in the 2:30 window. Give me the ACC primetime game in the 7 o'clock window,
the
and
7
then
o'clock,
Pac-12 after
12
dark.
late night.
Exactly.
That's what I
That's
love.
an ideal college football day. Zach, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. I get it. I understand.
No,
We
I'm
gotta-
not, because half the
As a
time
college
I'm-
football fan, it makes sense to me.
We got
half
our
the time I'm busy around noon, so I
Fair
want the good games to be late.
fair enough. That is a fair argument. I like that.
I know it is.
We got our first loser of the weekend. Tennessee. Tennessee was
They-
up
They
what,
should've
20-3? I think they were up 20-3 at
A
halftime.
half. A half.
They didn't win 20-3. They lost 34-20. They got goose egged in the second half.
Embarrassing.
So Tennessee dominates the first half. They rushed and passed for over 100 yards, held Alabama to under 100 yards rushing, like we thought they might.
What a great first half.
Forced 2 turnovers in the first half. Tennessee was absolutely rolling. Only the second half comes around, and that script flips entirely. In the second half, the Vols gained, I think, maybe just over 100 yards total in the second half. They didn't score. Alabama's Jace McClellan ran for 115 yards after running for like 28 in the first half. Also had a touchdown there. Tennessee still had a chance. Still had a chance late in this one. They were down just 7, fourth quarter. They got a chance for probably a very long drive, draw that clock out, score, maybe go to overtime, maybe go for 2 and win it, whatever you decide to do. Instead, third play of that drive, they fumble the game away. Alabama returns it for a touchdown. It is over.
Over. Sad. Sad.
Knowing what we know about this Alabama team, I am not surprised that they didn't just roll over. I mean, Saban obviously down there. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, if not the greatest college coach of all time. And he's never one that's going to give up. And I mean, he's going to go into the halftime and be like, hey, let's figure something out. You know, we're not a team that's going to get physically dominated in all regards of the game. And he fired him up, and he got it done.
You got it done.
The quarterback situation in Alabama is still something that I think needs to be looked at. I think Milroe doesn't play the way that Saban really wants him to.
No,
And
he's the guy that locker room has picked to be their quarterback. You saw them make the switch in week 3. Alabama came out and responded horribly, played a terrible game against, I don't even remember. It was some FCS opponent. I'll just say Alabama State for sake of crosstown rivalry. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's played terrible. Jalen Milroe comes back the next week and they dominate their game. The locker room has very clearly picked Milroe to be their guy, so I don't think there's any going back the remainder of this season. You're going to have to stick with it, but I agree. I don't know as though he is Saban's guy.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you want to see a Nick Saban offense that usually performs well when the passing game gets off of the running game.
South
And
Florida.
he has some certain, weapons that he has, like Jermaine Burton. Nobody talks about this guy, but I think he could be one of the big names coming out of the draft in like 2 years, because he's just going to continue to get better. He's big, tall, strong, fast, all the things that you would need. He just needs a guy to get him the ball downfield.
Yeah. So I got a question. I don't think any of us expected Tennessee to really roll too far in this season. They've had some impressive games. You rushed for over 200 against Texas A&M, like I said last week, which was very impressive at that time. Texas A&M holds almost every team they play to under 100 yards, and you dominated them on the ground. Tennessee's had some very impressive matchups. I don't think we expected too much out of them, though. Could we call this a winner for Alabama? Did Tennessee, in a way, wake up a sleeping giant here? Did they wake up this young Alabama team? Maybe get something out of them. Joe, you're shaking your head there. What's your thoughts?
I just don't think so. I think this Tennessee team is a very good team. I think they played an immaculate first half. Defensively, just shut down everything that Alabama wanted to do offensively. I think they don't have the experience. I'll agree. Young Alabama team, and usually when Saban has a younger Alabama team, they find a way to lose a couple games.
Yeah.
Give them a year, they'll be a powerhouse again. They probably won't
when
lose
you're
a game.
talking about this Alabama team, you're not comparing them to Alabamas of the past. You're comparing them to the current field and landscape of college football. This Alabama team.
They're all right.
For sake of time, we'll move on here. We got another winner, Bryson Barnes, out of Utah. Beginning of the season, this kid didn't even have a scholarship. Also, sorry, previous episodes we kept referencing Cam Rising as the quarterback here. Cam Rising hasn't played all season.
Yeah, what's going on with
disrespect out of us. Sorry about that. We'll be better. Bryson Barnes has been playing for Utah all season. And when we talked about USC versus Utah last week, we talked about how Utah was going to exploit USC's turnovers. They were going to exploit USC's coverage, and they did just that. They absolutely picked this team apart. They had to come back at one point. So it was a nice game, per the usual when these two face off. But even with Bryson Barnes at the helm, which heck of a season so far, they did exactly what we said they were going to do to USC. They took this one 34-32. Bryson Barnes had a beautiful play, end of the game, 16 seconds left, 2nd and 15. He made a huge scramble for 26 yards, got out of bounds, gave their kicker a chance to win this one, and he did. Barnes threw for 235 yards on the night and 3 touchdowns, adding a rushing touchdown. Pretty much what Cam Rising has done to these guys both of the last 2 times he's played them. They've now beat USC 4 times in a row. One of those was without Caleb Williams. But what a game.
What a game. And it's exactly what we thought. Go ahead, Zach.
100%.
I'm going to say it. I think USC might be the biggest frauds in college football.
Yeah.
We were so high on them, and they looked very good. And then they play these good teams that actually have an offense that can keep up with them and crumble. Caleb Williams is, and a defense. Caleb Williams is crumbling. Me personally, when I said Penix Jr. was going to be the Heisman, I thought it was going to be close with Caleb Williams, and now I think Caleb Williams doesn't even have a chance anymore.
No, he's way out of it.
Yeah,
I'm a big X/Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now X guy. Emmanuel Acho came out with an interesting take, Caleb Williams, and he was saying, if I'm Caleb Williams, I sit the rest of the year. I know I'm gonna be a top 5 protected pick, basically.
Yeah.
And saying how he shouldn't play. I don't agree with that at all. I think if you're Caleb Williams, you still have to show that you are Caleb Williams. You have to be able to continue to produce for this USC offense.
For several reasons there. One, he's a competitor and he needs to continue to show that.
Just play the game.
I really wish these guys with platforms, these guys who have played sports before, would stop doing this, would stop advocating for these athletes to not be athletes. At the end of the day, Caleb Williams still has something to prove.
He still has to beat a good team.
And not only does he have something to prove, you've got a whole different element here. You've got NIL in play now. If Caleb Williams decides to sit out, you're losing a lot of money there. Those people don't have to pay you. There's no contractual obligation for them to pay you if you're not fulfilling your end of the product. But that's a whole different thing. I just don't think you should be encouraging these guys to not play the game that they're here to play. Same thing with bowl games, encouraging players to opt out of bowl games because bowl games are suddenly meaningless. I think that's silly.
That's because there's 76 of them.
Who cares? You won football games.
You can win it for your school.
You won 6+ football games
for your tradition.
Exactly.
You know, like
Football tradition's going away.
It is. It really is,
The
and I think it
college
sucks
football
to see.
tradition is
I think it
going
sucks to
away,
see.
and it's sad. I'll say this though. At the end of last year, Caleb Williams, I'm pretty sure after his bowl game, he comes out and he says, I'm going to come back next year, and says that I'm going to basically win a national championship. Like, that was the goal. That was the goal going into this season, was
Not anymore.
winning a national championship with this USC team to basically cement his legacy as one of the best quarterbacks to play the game of college football. Obviously, we're seeing how this is working out this season. I can understand where players like Emmanuel Acho or former, college football players who could say, I should have sat out, and I should have taken care of my body. As we're getting more aware of that, like, players, we're all human beings, at the end of the day. You want to take care of yourself, you want to take care of yourself. I just think if you are Caleb Williams, you don't stop playing. You're
halfway through the season.
That guy.
Yeah, and who knows? He might have another year. He said if the Bears get the number 1 pick, he might stay.
He might stay. Who knows?
He might stay. If the Bears are there, then he's probably going to stay.
Yeah, I don't like that. I saw that as well, Joe, and I think it's gross. But you got a lot of people advocating. You got a lot of people advocating for it. So, that aside, speaking of players who could come back, does Cam Rising medically redshirt? And if he does he come back to Utah? It looks like they might have a guy.
Looks like they might have a guy that he might have to find a new spot.
Does he want to go back into a battle at 24, 25 years old?
I was going to say, transfer portal is going to be kind of brutal. I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys leaving, though. You got to think this year with the class that's coming out. Like, realistically, he could find a spot at one of those teams that's losing a guy and just step in and, ball.
Cam Rising to UNC.
Cam Rising to Oregon State when DJ Uiagalelei graduates. Anyway.
I don't hate that.
Let's get to our final loser here.
Let's skip this one.
Our final loser here is football fans as a whole. I want to preface this one. I want to take this one on, and I want to preface this by saying, to those of you Iowa fans out there that I know and I respect greatly, I don't want to come across as an Iowa hater, because I am not. But this team just disgusts me, and I'm gonna go off about it a little bit.
Still beat Iowa State. Just remember that.
I'm not saying Iowa State's that great of a team either. Minnesota finally beats Iowa. They did it in Kinnick. PJ Fleck gets his moment on the top of the mountain, probably the best moment his career will reach. Sweet. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game. Iowa gained 127 total offensive yards on Saturday. They gained just two offensive yards in the second half. They lost the turnover battle 0-3. The Hawks gained just 2.3 yards per play. They rushed. Here's a doozy for you. They rushed for just 11 yards on the ground. Minnesota could not reach the end zone a single time in this game. They even missed one of their field goal attempts, which Iowa did not do. And Iowa did reach the end zone. And yet, the Hawks were still one miraculously ridiculous punt return touchdown out of, respectfully, a very good football player, Cooper DeJean, from winning this game.
Very good.
Out of everything I just told you, they were still one miraculous touchdown away from winning this game. And we'll get to the call in a little bit, but what was this game? I don't even think you guys have words.
Trash is what this game was.
Embarrassing.
I don't even want to get into the call at the end.
I mean, as much as me on Saturday was saying Iowa got screwed, because realistically they did, but they lost. They suck. Get them off the field. I don't want to watch another Iowa football game. As an Iowa fan myself, I do not want to watch Iowa football because it's sad. I mean, but it does show how good the defense was.
If you're Brian Ferentz, though, 11 rushing yards.
You need to pack up and leave out of Iowa City.
this team was known and has been predominantly known for their running game. Like their rushing attack over the years.
I mean,
has
just 2
been
games ago, they had 100 and some odd yards.
pretty solid, pretty great. They've been able to run the ball quite well. Now you see they only have 11 yards. He's a quarterbacks coach and he's a offensive coordinator right now. He needs to be an offensive line coach.
Need I remind you guys, they rushed for like 228 yards against Wisconsin just last weekend. A few points.
11 yards.
A few points before we move on from Hawk Talk here.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That was tough. That was good.
As far as the call goes, I'll keep this quick because this show is not concerned with the call at the end of the game. There were too many opportunities to win this game to care about that. But the call, as much as it was correct, I still think it's a little disgusting because you've never seen it before. That's not a time to pull that out of the hat for the first time ever. But who cares? You had plenty of opportunities to win the game. I mean, you should have. You should have won the game when you had the chance.
But it would have been how crazy would it have been?
Electric.
Though? Just have been like
the one
Cooper
time
DeJean being Cooper DeJean,
the
great player that he is.
We'd be talking a lot more positively today
that for a touchdown.
Yeah,
100%.
Alexa was at the game. For those of you who don't know, that is my girlfriend. She was at the game, and they were leaving. They were leaving the game when that punt was happening. All of a sudden they hear Kinnick erupt. So they start running back and then it gets called back. So
dude, if I'm the refs, I am scared to leave that game.
A little bit.
I'm rolling out with 17 security guards.
Iowa nice, we ain't gonna hurt them.
I don't know. Someone may have gotten murdered.
As far as the coaching situation goes, we're not going to dive into Brian Ferentz here. But
gross.
I had a thought earlier. If you were to move on from the Ferentz family, which I don't think any Iowa fan truly wants, as you have gone to 22 bowl games in a row and you are a very winning program under Ferentz. I know it sucks right now with your offense not doing anything, but I don't think you truly want to move on from at least Kirk. But that said, if you were to move on from this family, I was thinking about this earlier. Realistically, Iowa right now, before the Big Ten does its whole shift, is one of the best destinations for a coach in the entire country. In the Big Ten West, you are guaranteed to compete for a Big Ten championship almost every single year. You're recruiting highly. You have a top 10 NIL in the country, as well as a good donor base already established. You have the ability to recruit those 3 and 4 star guys. You have the talent on your coaching staff to develop those 3 and 4 star guys. And you've already got that prestige and that culture and that tradition as a school. And Kinnick is beautiful. I've been to several games there. It's beautiful. It's electric. Sorry, Dad, I'll put soap in my mouth after this, but I think it's one of the best destinations in the country to go coach at right now. And I don't think adding UCLA to the Big Ten West is going to hurt your chances that much. I think it's a phenomenal place to go coach if they decide to move on from Kirk.
I think they got to keep Kirk because obviously he is winning, but Brian, come on. we have seen what is he doing? Is he even looking at a playbook or is he just sitting there
dude,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's got one of those crossword puzzles on the sideline, and he's trying to figure out what 13 across is. Bro. He's trying to figure out what 13 across is. But the hint is what is a play in football that gets you 6 points, and he just cannot figure that one out.
He doesn't know.
Jury's still out on that one.
I wonder how different it would be with Cade McNamara in there. I just wonder.
Not that much.
Because I don't know.
There's a lot of injuries to this team right now. I'll be entirely fair there.
Yes.
But I just don't know if Cade McNamara is doing all that much to improve this team. Do they beat Minnesota? I think they could easily beat Minnesota with Cade McNamara in the game. Maybe not easily because we saw that game, but
he's a handsome man.
Anyway, that's our Iowa talk. That's our Iowa spiel. I tried to be as positive as I could there. Let's get to our spotlight features here. We've got a really fun matchup to start us off. Maybe. This game could get really ugly against one team here. Number 18, Louisville, is at home taking on number 20, Duke. My thing with this one, we're going to keep these fairly quick. My thing with this one is Duke is a run-heavy team. They do not pass the ball well. Louisville defends the run incredibly well. If you can make this team one-dimensional towards the passing game, Duke has no shot in this one. Flip side of that, Louisville is a pass-heavy team. Duke doesn't defend the pass very well. This game could get very ugly in my eyes. Louisville at home is a 4.5-point spread. I don't know. I don't think this is one of my picks this week. I'm not putting any money on this one, but I'm going to take Louisville, and I'm going to take Louisville to cover that. I'm going to take those points.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
I was looking at this game when I was trying to think about picks earlier, for our Thursday episode, which everyone should tune in for the live.
Absolutely.
But
11-7.
I was looking at this team, and Riley Leonard's not playing. I believe he has an ankle problem. So that's already
doesn't help
that's
you.
already not looking good
help
for
you
the
at all.
Duke Blue Devils at all.
Riley Leonard already
So
wasn't that good
I think
throwing the ball.
I think it's going to be a runaway game probably for this Louisville team. They're actually going to show up and show out and be like, hey, we play in the ACC. We have a couple wins.
I think you could be right there. I think you could be right. Zach, what do you got?
I like Louisville to cover. I think their offense is too high-powered, and I don't think Duke will be able to keep up with them.
I just think this game is a matchup nightmare for Duke, unfortunately.
I think they'll have to try to throw the ball, and they won't be able to.
You get in a shootout in this game.
They'll get behind.
You get in a shootout in this game, and Duke has no chance. You get in a bar fight in this game, we could see a little bit more of an interesting game. I just don't think Louisville lets that happen. I think Louisville takes this one, and I think they take it somewhat handily. Our second matchup here, we've got number 13 Utah at home against number 8 Oregon. Utah is back. Utah is back-to-back champions in the Pac-12, and they're out for heads again. They're out for those top 25 Pac-12 heads. They're out to ruin this conference's playoff chances again. Only the difference is this year, they might be one of those playoff teams themselves. They've got a big test here. They've still got several other tests coming up. You've still got Washington coming up, I believe. Did they already play UCLA? I think they already played UCLA.
Yeah,
they've got a tough schedule coming up regardless, but they take on Oregon at home this weekend. I have no idea where to lean on this one. And with that said, I think I lean towards the more complete team. This Utah team is stupidly physical. They could dominate the line on both sides of the ball easily in this game, but so could Oregon. I think Oregon has the better passing and rushing offense. Open up those rushing lanes, dominate that line of scrimmage, and you're going to have a dominant game out of Bucky Irving, per the usual. Get that run game going, get Bo Nix going. Dude's still on the Heisman chase right now. I think experience wins this game, and Oregon has the experience. Give me Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks.
I don't even know about this one. Like, every part of me wants to bet Oregon just because, they are dominant. They're a great team. They have a very solid defense, really good pass defense, and obviously you got Bryson Barnes who's playing really well on the other side. But I don't know. I'm gonna take Oregon just because I like the Ducks, but I would not be shocked if Utah won this game. I think it's going to be a shootout game.
I agree with Ethan as far as experience being a key factor in this game. I think Bo Nix has been a professional in every step of the way this season. He finally, he has the most starts of any college football quarterback of all time.
Fun fact, his first game was against Justin Herbert.
It was. Justin Herbert just hit 55 starts.
Justin Herbert just hit 55 starts in the NFL.
Who's been playing college football for a very long time. That being said, I think if you're Bo Nix, you have to show up and you have to show out, especially against this Utah team who just, hung one on USC. You got to show up that you're like, all right, I'm going to have a better year than Caleb had last year, and we're going to win something this year, hopefully. The defense looks good. It looked shaky against Washington, obviously. We'll see how they handle this Utah offense, but
shaky against a very good team in Washington. To be fair,
very good offense,
very good,
very good offense. I'm saying shaky as a light thing.
Yeah,
they're good defense. They play well on the defensive side of the ball. Give me Oregon in this one.
All
yeah,
right.
Go Ducks.
We're all taking Ducks there. We tend to agree on these a lot. We really tend to agree on these a lot. But we're also not wrong on them a lot, except for last week. But last week never happened. So we got our third matchup here. Here's an intriguing one to me. It is we're going under the headlights here. We've got our upset alert of the week. Only because Brock Bowers just underwent a season-ending surgery. And he's kind of all of Georgia's spark on offense this year. He's kind of their life this year. In a partial Brock Bowers game, they almost lost to Vanderbilt. What are they going to do in their first full game without Brock Bowers? Now, my faith still leans in that coaching staff. My faith still leans towards Kirby Smart. Georgia still has the muscle over Florida. I think they still have the muscle over Florida. I don't know if there's going to be enough spark here. Florida's emerging. Florida has looked very, very good the last few weeks. They just beat South Carolina here a couple weeks ago, very, very handily at home. Joe,
trash of the league.
Yeah, I get that.
Spencer Rattler is the trash of the league.
It's not
right
good.
now.
Missouri just stomped on them as well. But regardless, this Florida team is starting to look really good. That said, Vegas knows something. They still got Georgia as 15.5-point favorites in this one. On the road. 15.5-point favorites on the road. I'm still going to lean towards, once again, that word experience. This coaching staff in Georgia is going to find a way. They've still got the weapons. They've got the muscle. Florida does not have that. Yeah, give me Georgia. Not the points. I'm not taking those points, but give me Georgia.
Yep, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm taking Georgia to win. That spread's kind of crazy, but I think they'll kind of. I mean, they're obviously going to game plan this week, and they're game planning without Brock Bowers. And last week they obviously couldn't. And I think they're very good at next man up. So I like Georgia here.
Yeah, I have the utmost faith in Kirby Smart. Especially after his last two seasons. Obviously, you had Stetson Bennett, and the offense.
37-year-old man himself.
Looked all right, with him, and he was slinging the rock, the way he needed to. Not having, a key piece like Brock Bowers is definitely going to hurt them offensively, but I don't think it's going to, be their downfall. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They're the Georgia Bulldogs, all right? They gonna win. They gonna win it all again this year.
I think the vibe I'm getting here is we definitely all think Georgia now is very capable of dropping a game, but I don't think any of us think it's going to be this one. Is what I'm getting here.
It's not going to be Florida.
That's college football, boys. That's college football. We recapped the week there. We made our picks. Now it's time for halfway heaters. We're not quite to NFL. Like we said last week, we got a new segment. Halfway heaters is the segment where halfway through the episode, we dive into you guys, the fans, biggest hot takes for the weekend for football in general, college football and NFL. If you want to be a part of this segment, if you've made it to this point in the video or are watching this as a clip after the fact, if you made it to this part in the segment, give us your hot takes. Give us your hot takes. Broad takes about college football or NFL in general, takes about the weekend, takes about what you think is going to happen in the near future of college football and NFL. Give us your hot takes if you want to be a part of this segment. And it's a fun segment. Let's get to our first hot take here. And it's a fun one, bouncing off of this Georgia topic here. Our first one here, Georgia will not end the regular season undefeated. They will lose in the SEC title game. Technically, the specifics were they will lose to LSU. But either way, losing the SEC title game, and they will miss the playoff entirely after going to back-to-back and winning back-to-back.
Stop it.
I was feeling on this one, boys.
Stop
Remember, we are post Brock Bowers injury, so a loss to Alabama is ridiculously possible. Technically, a loss to Florida is possible. There are probably 3 games on the remaining slate they could easily lose.
They've got some tough competition coming up.
They do have some tough competition. And then beyond that, you're probably going to play and Alabama, potentially an Ole Miss. Watch out for Ole Miss. They're currently leading that division. And they've looked really good lately. Tennessee is still up there.
Either.
That said, you got stiff competition coming up, and you're going to have a stiff game in that SEC title game as well. So while I think this one is scorching hot, I will give it that rating, scorching hot. I think it's possible. I think it is possible. There is a world where Georgia can lose 2 games this football season.
I don't think it's out of the possibility. I got their schedule pulled up next to me. They got Florida this week, Missouri next week, Ole Miss the week after, Tennessee on the road, and Georgia Tech to end the season.
All of those are losers, except for Georgia Tech. All those are losable.
Except for Georgia Tech. They're completely irrelevant in the whole college football scheme.
Every one of those is losable.
But like Missouri, if Missouri was at home, then I would be a little more nervous, but that's in Georgia. Ole Miss is also in Georgia. Tennessee is on the road. That's the one that makes me the most nervous, is that Tennessee game. But
the home slate definitely helps.
Yeah, being at home, obviously you're losing Brock Bowers, but I mean, you still got that home crowd behind you, and I think
Dogs are gonna roar, man.
Dogs might. They might.
Dogs don't roar; they bark.
They bark.
No, these ones roar.
Joe, how do you feel about this one?
I'm of the thinking that as far as college football goes, the quarterback and the offense and all this stuff, yes, this is all key parts. But when it comes down to it, you have to have the experience as far as a coaching staff. They've been doing it for like the last 6 years. Kirby Smart's been the head guy. He's had his hands all over this team. They still have the potential to lose. They are any team can lose on any given day to any other team.
Yep.
It's college football. That's football.
College football.
But that being said, the way that this team prepares, I believe, the way that they're coached top down, I don't see them losing more than 2 games this year. I just don't.
What would you boys rate this one? I gave it a scorching hot. What are we calling this one?
I would say
it's hot.
It's
very hot.
It's hot. It's hot. I don't want
like
to touch it. That's how hot it is.
It's like when the burner is like to that point where like the water starts to boil in and you don't want to touch it because it gets really hot.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting at
right about
200, 250.
We're getting into temperatures here. We got our second hot take here. This is an interesting one.
I like.
This is an interesting one.
I like.
The NFL quarterback market is increasing right now. And our hot take here is that even with the quarterback market increasing and the NFL trending more towards an explosive play heavy league, the wide receiver market will start to look more and more like the current running back market within the next few seasons.
I don't hate this one. And here, I think this. I don't think
a
this
little
is a bad
elaboration on that, because there wasn't much elaboration given. What I'm assuming they mean by that is running backs right now come a dime a dozen, and they're not a huge part of the offenses. So you don't really have to pay them that much. You can get a rookie running back every year. You can get a cheap young running back every year. They can do their job. Wide receivers is a slightly different case because they're bigger in the offenses. You want those studs, but they're also coming a dime a dozen right now. Your rookie classes right now are receiver packed. You've got undrafted guys like Puka Nacua, or he wasn't undrafted, but guys like Puka Nacua who are drafted late coming out of the woodworks and just, replacing Cooper Kupp. You've got just so many weapons. Jackson Smith and Jigba had an incredible weekend this weekend for the Seahawks. You got so many young guys balling out every year. It's different names every year. There's cheap guys on the market that are having better seasons than your Devontae Adams and your star guys. I don't know why I just targeted Adams there, but either way.
I think we saw it with D-Hop this year. Like, D-Hop has been one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league every year he's played.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's the quarterback been. he's been one of the most consistent. Mike Evans, another example. He's
Devontae
been
Adams also has been another example.
consistent. Like they've been nothing but consistent. They've been nothing but great, wide receivers. Julio Jones had one of the biggest falls from stardom, in my opinion. He was the guy in the offense.
Philadelphia
And
Eagle,
then
baby.
he immediately, he goes somewhere else. He chases a bag somewhere else, and he turns out that he has Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball. He can't get accustomed to the offense. He can't get incorporated in the offense.
Yeah.
I can understand where this take is coming from, and I don't. It's hot, but
It's not that hot.
Yeah.
Also at the end of the day, though, you have to think Jamar's about to get a bag. Justin Jefferson's about to get a bag.
Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to get a bag.
There's a bunch of new receivers. Yes, they're young, but what happens when that rookie contract is up and they're still performing? You're going to have to pay them.
It's really kind of interesting to see how similar the running back room went from these star studs getting paid big money, then the chasing a bag, and then being and now seeing in the wide receivers, because you had big names like Julio and Devontae Adams who went and chased a bag and then kind of have fallen off a little bit. Devontae Adams, I'm not going to say has fallen off completely because he's still got time, but running backs, it was Lev Bell and I'm completely blanking on his name and I just had it. The Rams running back.
He had the knee problem. Todd Gurley, yeah.
He had
arthritis in his knees.
Arthritis in his knees.
Poor guy, man.
And then both of them went to go chase a bag. And then Antonio Brown also went to go chase a bag. Granted,
you could date the running backs even further than that. That Cowboys running back that had a 2,000 DeMarco Murray, 2,000 yard season. Murray. And then he goes somewhere else and he ain't even being used in the offense.
And even further. I mean, I don't think it's I think it's about the same time. Jay Ajayi with the Dolphins, same thing. Had a good season with the Eagles and then fell off a cliff.
There are just too many guys out there right now for this market to keep increasing. You got those unicorns like Jay Jettas who are just a stupidly good impact on their team. But after that, there's so many weapons out there right now who are making names for themselves. I don't think the market needs to be that high, and I think this take might just come to fruition.
Yeah, I don't hate that take.
I don't hate that take either. With that said, we're officially into NFL talk, and we got an interesting one here first. The Chicago Bears won a football game this weekend very handily. The Chicago Bears did not have Justin Fields. Instead, you had Tyson Bagent. For some reason, I always mix his name up with Tyler, but I'm going to try to say Tyson.
Tyler. I think we said that when we were talking before.
Yeah,
I think I said Tyler.
I don't know why I keep saying Tyler, but Tyson Bagent, rookie quarterback, came in. Optimism out of Bears fans, and it's not all Bears fans, but optimism out of Bears fans is great, but I think it's a little bit too much. And a Lions fan. I think it's a little bit too much too soon. I'm going to preface this right now and say Bagent did not win this game. D'Onta Foreman won this game. Bagent didn't have a stellar game by any means. He did what he needed to do to win the game. He didn't make mistakes. Sure, but Tyson Bagent came in and did exactly what people have been saying Brock Purdy apparently does with the 49ers. He came in and he just dinked and dunked. He got the ball out quickly. He got plays open in space for his guys. He averaged 2.1 air yards per attempt this weekend. He didn't throw a single pass over 15 yards. So I guess to me, who's been a Purdy fan through these last 11 weeks of football, not last 11 weeks, but of total football games, including last season, to hear people say all those things about Purdy and then see this guy do exactly that and get praised for it, disgusting to me. But I still respect the performance. He did what he needed to do as a rookie, and an undrafted rookie at that, a Division II football player at that, first since 1950 to start a game as a Division II football player. So I respect the hell out of that. I don't think he's replacing Justin Fields though.
I think there should be a genuine, when Justin Fields comes back healthy in practice, there should be a genuine sit down with both of them and be like, this week we're competing for a starting spot. Whoever performs better is that starter. And here's why. Because I think if Justin Fields was in this game and it came down to the clutch time that it did, crunch time, not clutch time, Justin Fields would have choked. He's shown it in every game. Yes, I understand in the last 3 games he only had 1 interception. But that 1 interception was in a big-time situation. And let's also not forget, he also was a fumbler. We were talking before.
Yeah.
Obviously, Joe and Ethan, you both know the stats. Sorry, Joe, I don't want to just call you out because Ethan was in the conversation
Yes, I
too.
was.
But I know Joe's opinion on Justin Fields.
The only reason I disagree with the practice battle thing is because I think you need to at least give Justin Fields the rest of this season, like we said early on in our podcast journey here.
I don't think he should.
I think you need to give Fields the rest of the season. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What do you have to win?
Here's my point.
A lot of football games is what you have to lose.
Here's my point, and this is what I'm going to say about this game exclusively. All right, they took out half of the playbook. They said we're not even gonna look at this half because this guy is not gonna be able to get it. There's no way. Dumbed the playbook way down for this man.
As you do.
It's his first game.
Obviously, he's gonna perform well with a dumbed down playbook.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the Brock Purdy thing. That's exactly what they did for Brock Purdy. They dumbed it down, let him ease into it,
But
and then
now
and
look
then
at it.
That's what I'm saying. Why not do the same thing with him? Why not do the same thing with Tyson Badgett? Give him a chance.
They did it with Justin Fields, and obviously it hasn't turned out the way that they want it. But I will say the last three games, but you're seeing improvement.
No, you're not. He's doing it.
He put up 3 straight games with 3 passing touchdowns
and lost 2 of them to the worst defenses in the league.
In each game, 3 passing touchdowns. He performed better than Tyson Badgett would,
and he lost. He still lost because he's a turnover machine. He has 12 total touchdowns on the year.
1 turnover in 3 games.
No, 1 interception.
Okay, how many fumbles?
2 turnovers. 2. I think it wasn't only
turnovers,
1.
2 turnovers.
2 turnovers in 3 games.
Both of those turnovers in clutch time to lose the game. Let's not forget that he has 12 total touchdowns on the year with 10 total turnovers. That's not
he's
good.
Still getting the team there. He's still putting
losing.
up points.
Losing.
I don't want to let this one get out of hand here because it easily could this one.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm not going to.
My thoughts on Badgett is, again, let Fields finish the season. Develop Badgett. I don't know as though he's a franchise guy, but nobody knows if he's a franchise guy. He didn't have a crazy game this first game. He showed potential to not make mistakes, to play smart, to do what a young rookie quarterback, undrafted, should do. He's proven
and he handled some pressure.
He's proven he's a good backup. He does what he needs to do. He's proven he's got heart, which is what you ask for in these guys. He had confidence, swagger, a big word used for Brock Purdy in his early career, moxie. He's got that. You could see it. So develop him and see what happens, because quite honestly, at this point, the Bears could use anything. That said,
how long is Justin Fields out? 3 weeks?
Yeah, he's not going to be. He's not going to be there for their primetime game this weekend, which is another thing. Badgett gets his first primetime spot.
He's week to week, I'm pretty sure at this point.
Badgett confirmed Fields is out next week, so Badgett gets his first primetime game.
If Badgett wins, if he's out, say he's out 3 games and Badgett wins all 3, I'm saying you give the reins to Tyson Badgett.
We're also not going to glaze over the fact that the defense played one of the best games they've played all year.
Really good.
Jalen Johnson
forced 3 turnovers, right?
Back in the lineup. Jalen Johnson back in the lineup after he'd been hurt, after he'd been out. 2 picks, 1 being a pick 6.
Oh, just him. Just him. 2 picks. 3 picks
just
total.
Him. Just him. Okay, gotcha. Just Jalen Johnson. This Bears defense has the potential to be very good. A very good defense.
What's your excuse against the Broncos?
I said they have the potential. They didn't have Jalen Johnson in the game.
Moving the episode along here. If Badgett beats the Chargers in primetime, we'll talk. Lions fans.
Skip. Nope.
Lions fans, this is a safe space.
Listen,
the Ravens.
It's okay, Zach.
We're all on your side here, Zach. This is a safe space. We just want to hear your thoughts. That's really all this is. The Ravens, they whooped the Lions this weekend. we all saw it. We all know what happened. We're going to get Zach's thoughts here in a second. We'll move on with this one very quickly. This can be 30 seconds if you'd like. I just do want to point out some numbers, though. Without David Montgomery, the Lions were only able to rush for 84 yards. The Lions were just 5 of 16 on third downs and 2 of 6 on fourth downs. Places where Dan Campbell thrives as a head coach. They could not get it going. And I'm not even going to read the rest of them because those are the two big ones. Those are complete outliers. On a Dan Campbell team, on a Dan Campbell staff, those are complete outliers. Those things do not happen to this Detroit Lions team. Even when they were losing 7 straight last year, they didn't do these things. So I don't think this happens again for the Lions. I still have a lot of optimism for this Lions team. I think that was a complete outlier game. Lamar Jackson played near perfect. You can't expect that every week. That Ravens defense, fantasy points, got 46 of them. I mean, you can't expect that every week. Zach, we'll get your thoughts quick and we'll move on with this one.
Worst thing for me is I had Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff as my quarterbacks in fantasy. I had the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions defense in fantasy. I started both of the Lions because I thought they would win. I really did. I think Dan Campbell said it best. And this is going to be a little bit of misquoting, but I'm going to try to keep it as close as I can. We played like ass and they played really good.
Yeah.
They played really good, and as heartbreaking as it is, I showed a lot of emotion before podcast, but I think they have a really good bounce back week against Oakland in a primetime game. It is a little disheartening because obviously Lions were, as the season went on, they were like genuine Super Bowl contenders, or Super Bowl hopefuls.
I still think they are.
It's a little scary because they kind of didn't play a good against a very good team. And I think we need to start respecting the Ravens a little more.
Here's the thing. They have already proven, twice this season that they can play really good against really good teams. You have your perfect bounce back next weekend because you play the Raiders. That's a playground for improvement. You get to do whatever you want against that team. You get to beat them up at will. So that's a perfect way to bounce back. Obviously, I'm speaking very negatively against the Raiders right now.
Yeah, the Raiders are bad.
Either way,
and they were without Jerry Jacobs, who's their
you
number
have
one
a
interception
very
leader.
good bounce back scenario here. I don't think you lose any optimism for this Lions team. They did not play Lions football in that game against the Ravens, and it showed.
I think the biggest takeaway from this game is the NFL does not respect their Ravens like they should. I think that Ravens defense is very freaking good.
That's been a long-standing thing. The Ravens never get respected.
When the Ravens offense is clicking, holy frick, they are good, and it's scary. And now, that they've got things going on, I think with this year, with how open the AFC is, you might see a surprise Ravens at the number one.
Maybe.
I may or may not have called it 2 weeks ago. I was saying that Lamar is going to get into his midseason form and he's going to actually look like the Lamar Jackson of old.
Yeah.
I think, but there's a fundamental
I hate that it had to come
difference.
against the Lions.
There's a fundamental difference
I'm a big fan of
between Lamar Jackson now and Lamar Jackson 2 years ago when he won MVP. He does not leave the pocket
He's a
unless
quarterback.
unless he needs to.
It's
And
beautiful.
that is significant improvement over what we have seen this man do. He's playing good now. He's playing in the pocket and he's throwing the ball. This is what the evolution of Lamar Jackson needed to be.
He was nickel and diming this week. That's all we'll talk. That's all we'll talk about the Lions. We gave our respect to the Ravens there as well. We got to talk winners too, and the Ravens look really good this weekend. Let's talk about Myles Garrett because, my Lord. Dude had a
scary
game this weekend.
Bad man.
What do we got statistically? 2 strip sacks. One of those for a touchdown. Troy Polamalu-esque field goal block. Perfectly timed.
So cool.
Leapt
That was
right
beautiful.
over that, I believe, right guard there because you can't leap the snapper, I don't believe. But he leapt right over that right guard there. Blocked that. That was gorgeous.
So good.
What a game.
Man.
What a game.
Yeah.
He's I think one of those stupid LeBron James type statistics. He's the first player to have that exact stat line since 2005.
That's crazy.
Either way, which is crazy, but
Yeah.
either way, he now sits at 20 tackles on the season, 6.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, and 3 forced fumbles, including those 2 strip sacks.
That's a sack a game, a tackle for loss a game, every game.
He just made a huge defensive player of the year push. He was 4th in odds going into last week. He currently sits as 2nd, I believe, still behind Micah Parsons.
Don't sleep on TJ Watt because he literally had a pick 6 this week.
He did. But look at his previous 2 weeks. He hasn't been getting any sacks, and that's his bread and butter. If you're not getting those, which he's still averaging based on his first 3 games, he's still averaging like almost 2 sacks a game, which is crazy.
He is so good.
Regardless,
I think it's almost disrespectful to not have TJ Watt as the number 1 still. They're kind of doing what they did with Aaron Donald. He just won it so many times where it was like in the conversation. They're just like, let's get someone else in there, is what it kind of seems like.
To be fair, Vegas odds on those awards mean absolutely nothing until like week 15. You don't start to see an actual race until then. They're going week by week right now. And you have to give Micah Parsons 2 things in this scenario. You give him his ability to pass rush, and he also gets coverage statistics. So he has a massive advantage there if he's doing well in both fronts. That's probably where he comes out on top. Could Myles Garrett sneak in for that depoy? He's been chasing it.
If he keeps doing what he's doing, man.
Yeah, if he keeps having games like this,
the one thing back-to-back really good ones.
The one thing I kind of want to say about it is I don't know I can't remember who the Browns played last week, but this week was against a not very good
Niners.
Shut up.
Last week was the Niners.
They just beat the Niners last week.
Yeah. I think he could.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I think he could. My pick is still TJ Watt because TJ Watt, the dude's just good.
TJ Watt.
Bill Belichick, boys. Bill Belichick got his 300th win this weekend. Signature Bill Belichick beats the Bills for his 300th win.
Fashion.
In Bill Belichick fashion, he comes out with one of the worst teams in the league and just takes Buffalo to town all game. I can't do anything. I can't do anything but laugh at this one a little bit just because it's the Bills.
This is sad.
Boring.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
Trash.
Okay.
Whoa.
Let's relax.
Joe's got the third hot take of the episode here.
Settle down. The one thing I will say about the Bills is they always play down to their competition.
Yeah.
And you've seen it with the Giants last week. You saw it with the Patriots this week. And then you saw them play up to their competition when they played the Dolphins.
Should have lost to the Giants.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about it.
I'm just saying. This should have been back-to-back losses by a Buffalo Bills team that has looked shaky on offense this year. Their defense is missing some pretty key pieces. They lost Matt Milano. They lost Trey White. They've lost a lot of key pieces on this defense. This is not the Bills team of old. Don't look at them as they're 2 years ago, last year. They need to figure it out a little bit more this year than they have in the past. They're definitely hitting some adversity. We'll see how they look at the back half. We'll see if they can, get out with the division, against this Miami Dolphins team that, looks good in spots too, but, we wish they would just finish a game.
Yep.
Mac Jones, it's gross though. I don't want to talk about that guy at all.
Yeah, let's not talk about him. I'm not giving him any praise.
The Bills are
so bad.
The Bills are a very confusing team lately. They got off to another very, very slow start on Sunday. Got down 13-3 early, muscled their way back in, but Mac Jones, who we just apparently said we're not giving any credit to, had 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. Had the game-winning drive there at the end. The Bills.
I'll give Mike Gesicki some credit. He did pretty good.
The Bills have some horrible games against lesser opponents, but they have a dominant win over the Dolphins, and they still currently are sitting 2 games behind in their division. Which is crazy at this point in the season that they're 2 games behind. Have the Bills already shot themselves in the foot too many times to come back in this division? Could we see a playoff-less Bills? I think they make the wild card regardless, but
I don't think
know,
so. Just
though.
because they have the advantage on the Dolphins. They have the advantage on the Dolphins. They beat them the one
If
game
they
already.
scrap back 2 more games,
If the
it's only
Dolphins
one now because the
drop
Dolphins lost last night to the Eagles. So that's only
I
one
think
now.
the Dolphins.
But that's not a divisional game.
Yeah, I think. I still think the Bills are the favorites to win that division. I know that sounds crazy, but you have to beat the best team to win that division, and I still think the Bills are the most complete team. And like we talked about a lot with college football, it comes down to experience, and that Bills team has the experience, and they've got the coaching. I still think the Bills win that division.
I think the AFC East is wide open at this moment.
Who's the other team? The Jets.
The Dolphins have a chance. The Bills have a chance, and the Jets have a chance. I think it's wide open at this point.
Yeah, the Jets have a chance.
Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Aaron Rodgers coming back. All right. So Zach Wilson. All Zach Wilson's got to do is continue to not lose football games. The Jets will be in contention. That defense is for real. Don't sleep on the Jets, man. Don't sleep on the Jets.
When do you think Aaron Rodgers comes back? We'll get this quick and we'll get to parlay party.
Week 10, dude.
Week 10 is in like 1 week.
It's definitely the last. It's definitely the last, like, 4 games of the year. I bet. I don't be surprised.
The fact that he is out of a walking boot is absurd.
Yes, it is.
And throwing
looks natural.
Crazy. Since we're getting off topic here, we will move on to parlay party. I don't like to interrupt episodes, but the Vikings are up 16-7 at the half on the Niners. Jordan Addison has 2 touchdowns.
And that one touchdown, I shouldn't be watching it, but I pulled up ESPN and it happened to be the touchdown play.
Regardless.
He ripped the ball out of the defender's hand and took it 60 yards.
Wide receiver market going down. Anyway, let's get to parlay party here. Parlay party, if you're new here, is where we sit down at the end of every Tuesday episode and we build for you guys the ultimate NFL winners parlay. We've been really close to hitting 3 of these. We're gonna get it one of these times. For reference, these odds are all like plus 1,000 or better, which is a very lofty parlay. $10 would win you over 300 on any of these, which again, very lofty. But we've been very close on 3 of them. Our record sits at 16-14. We had a very bad week last week, so we need to bounce back. We'll get going through these pretty quick here. What do we got for what's standing out?
First game I look at, and I'm starting with a bold one, but the first one I look at is the Rams Cowboys. I think I like the Rams plus 6.
We're renaming the bold one to the juiced pick.
The juiced pick.
The juiced
pick. Like the Rams? Nah, bro.
I don't,
bro.
That Rams team, you look at it this week, they got gypped out of a win.
Cowboys at home off of a bye though.
Off of a bye.
Cowboys at home.
Dak Prescott.
Zach, I feel like that one's a little too juicy.
Micah Parsons. Come on, man.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. That Rams defense is solid. They got gypped out of a win last week, and they look very good on offense. I think they have
Kyron Williams. No Kyron Williams.
Who cares?
They're still trying to get Cooper Kupp involved.
I think the group here is avoiding that one. What about Texans Panthers?
I'm not gonna say anything because low-key I may or may not have picked out one of my picks later this week.
Spoiler alert: I'm 100% picking that one.
What about Texans Panthers?
I like that
rookie quarterback versus rookie quarterback.
I like that one. I like CJ Stroud minus 3.
I like him minus 3. I like him to win by a field goal on the road.
Yep.
Okay.
Faux show.
We'll take Texans minus 3 there.
Team.
We'll take Texans minus 3 there then to start this off.
Bryce Young's kind of looks scared.
What about Jets money line over the Giants? Jets come off of a bye. They come out of a bye fired up. I don't like that 3 points though, just because the Giants have been looking better and better. Tyrod Taylor looks pretty good in that offense.
He's not turning the ball over.
I don't like the Jets to cover a field goal. That game could come down to the wire there in some sort of silly way. It's Jets Giants crosstown rivalry.
I would say give me the cover.
Give me Jets money line.
Yeah, I'm leaning. I think the Jets will cover it, but for safety reasons, I would go Jets money line.
Give me
I think
Jets
the
money
Jets
line.
defense is just too good, man.
Yeah, but I
They
think
gonna win by a touchdown because the defense is gonna score a touchdown.
I just think the Giants have been surprising some people lately. I feel like group sake, let's go Jets money line.
Okay,
Group sake.
Group sake money line.
they gonna win. They gonna win.
There's a lot of road games. There's a lot of road games here I do not like.
The
I
1.5
think-
spreads are disgusting to me.
Yeah, but the one I really like the Ravens to cover that 8.5 point spread against the Cardinals.
We have not done good with big spreads, is my only worry there.
I
Especially at
understand.
this point in the season. But the Cardinals have also been getting dog walked.
The Cardinals suck.
And
You
this
know what?
Ravens defense looks real good.
If
And-
Ravens have a similar game to this weekend, they should beat this Cardinals team by about 106 points. So
106.
give me Ravens minus 8.5. That's 3 of them down.
106
Can we
is
play?
crazy.
Can we play safe here and go Chiefs money line versus Broncos? I think they beat that team 2 times.
Money line, yes.
I think they beat that team.
money
We'll
line,
take the
yes,
points.
Yeah.
spread, no.
I
We'll
think
take the
Chiefs are not
points.
good against the spread against the Broncos, but I think the Chiefs beat this team twice. I don't see a world
Yeah.
where they don't. If Taylor Swift is at the
Man, they
game,
ain't lost to
Travis
the
Kelce's
Broncos in
guaranteed
years.
100 yards and a touchdown. So
They ain't lost to the Broncos in years
Did you,
either.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, we're going to talk about her just real quick. Did you see her cute little bracelet? That was so adorable. Heart
anyway,
87 heart.
Chiefs money
That
line.
was so cute.
What else we got?
Hey, put that in the title.
Hey, we need our juice pick. This is the one.
Vikings winning.
Vikings money line over the Packers. Vikings to go on the
Oh, yeah,
road in
100%.
Lambeau.
100%.
If they're looking
Yeah.
as good as they're looking tonight, could they get Jay Jettis back, or is he probably out for quite a while?
I
I
think
think he's
I
still
think he's
out.
done.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe juice pick though. You're going underdog odds there. Vikings money line. I like that a lot. So to recap, we got Chiefs money line.
Packers don't surprise or
No.
excite me at all.
I agree.
No, they're bad.
We've got Chiefs money line. We've got Ravens minus 8.5. We've got Vikings to win outright on the road. We've got the Jets money line against the Giants, and we've got Texans minus 3 against the Panthers. That is our bounce back week. Let's pick a garbage shoot.
Bengals 49ers.
Yep.
Bengals, Niners, and Jags, Steelers are the two that jump out to me for a game you
Yep.
should not touch.
Yep. Don't
Um,
touch those.
That Steelers
I would
defense is
agree.
really good. They match up really, really well against that Jags team. The Jags team also has explodability potential. I don't like that game at all. 1.5 point spread. Clearly, Vegas is a little confused about that game as well.
Confused.
Yeah, I don't like that one. And I hate that Bengals 49ers game, especially if the 49ers keep looking how they're looking.
Yeah, personally, if I did have to bet on that Bengals 49ers game, I would take the Bengals
To at least cover that 5.5.
to at least cover that. Yeah,
I agree.
but I wouldn't touch that game.
I agree. I think those are our two garbage shoots there. I'm a lot more confident in our parlay party this week. Like a lot more.
I feel pretty
I'm
confident.
just
last week and-
saying. I said it. I said it felt.
say it.
I said the vibes were off. It felt like our least confident week, and we went 0-5. I hate
0-5.
that I just had to say those numbers in the same sequence. But we're going 5-0 this week. We're hitting our first one. I can't guarantee it legally, but
Yeah.
I make an empty
We got
promise. So
See,
Don't
that's
sue
a
us.
script.
that's gonna do it, boys. That's parlay party. That is episode 7 in the books. We're hitting the same timestamp every week, boys. I'm proud of us. I love it. That's gonna do it though. We're gonna see you guys live on Thursday. Do not miss it. If you hit this point in the video, subscribe, like the video.
Give us the words.
We love
baby.
you guys. Follow over on podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Again, we're live on Thursday. Do not miss it. We got picks. We got all the action. We got the light pole release week 8. So don't miss it.
Hopefully
we love
my
you guys.
computer don't die.
We'll see you then. Peace.